mousesports.com, G2A, NVIDIA, and ESEA.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the ESL Pro League. We are back, and Pansy is joining us after losing her mind in that last game.
It is difficult to deal with
due to a floaty man.
Floaty
Frenchman. Well, a floaty Frenchman.
That's exactly it.
Floaty Frenchman.
It has to be very specific. It wouldn't be funny otherwise.
No, exactly. You do feel free to check out the GIFs of that. There are many of them out there already at ESL CS. It's already out there. Fnatic and Mouse up next.
So much to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
It was a close game last time they faced each other.
Really?
It wasn't so bad. Yeah, I mean, yes, Fnatic are clearly
Was this when Nico almost
one
dropped
of the
50?
best teams in the world.
Isn't that every game?
And mousesports are a little off them right now.
I think that's a very deceiving 1 and 5, though.
But it is Cash and Dust too. It is deceiving. So this is the same thing. Let me get Mean League up in front of me. They're only minus 19 round difference, despite being 1 and 5. So clearly much closer games when you'd say, for example, were to look at 0-6 Flipside, who are minus 47, played the same amount of games. So mousesports definitely much closer. You would expect them to pick up games, but probably not tonight.
Yeah, I think the other days we've actually seen them play, they've been looking pretty strong and actually being favored to win a lot of the time, but it ends up being them defeating themselves pretty much once they get close to that 15 mark, which is a bit of a shame, and it's not going to get easier tonight either. And I don't ever think they're actually going to get into the position where they can actually have the potential to close it out. Yeah,
we saw that panic-induced fear that gets close to round 15 when they played Luminosity, didn't we?
Yeah.
14-7 up and managed to somehow lose the game.
It's a terrible story for mousesports at the moment, but if I'm not mistaken, they do have new coaches coming in, don't they? That's for the major, however. I'm not sure if they're actually on board.
They're kick-starting yet.
Enkai has been with them for...
He's been around for a while, right?
Yeah,
KJ.
and Capio was supposed to be the coach initially when they got rid of GO. Something went awry, didn't work out. Now they've got him for the major at least. Not sure how much of input he's been able to give to the team at this point because it's still fairly fresh, but I don't know, it can't be a good thing, I guess. Not a worse, bad thing.
Yeah, exactly. How much worse could it be if you're mousesports? If you look at the team who has a lot of potential, which they do, you have Nico, who's one of the most, I guess, unharnessed talents. You know what I mean? Like, you look at the people like Olaf, they're in the right place to really thrive with the talent that they bring, whereas Nico seems to be so far ahead of the rest of the pack, he's kind of dragging them with him. But normally on paper, you'd say that this lineup could probably maybe supplement him perfectly if everyone was playing well. Maybe a couple of changes could be argued. But then Christian used to be a hugely explosive AWPer. He used to be phenomenal, especially on maps that we're seeing today, at least one of the two, I feel. So it's for me, it's more of a consistency issue and a lack of presence from certain players that has certainly hindered mousesports actually getting to the potential that we've seen always seem to be with this team.
Yeah, I think back to when we were back in the UK doing it, 3 weeks ago now. I remember seeing the game where basically Spiddy disappeared in one game and I hit like a 30 bomb the next game. This is the consistency that we just need to start seeing across the rest of the teammates.
It's like how many people in that lineup at some point were argued to be like this up-and-coming talent. You know, Nex had a bit of that limelight for a little bit.
Last year.
And then Christian was always like, ooh, initially it was like, this guy's never clean, okay. It's like, great, okay. That kind of worked away eventually because he got consistent, he got good, he turned up at events, nailed it. And now it's like, okay, well, he's kind of dropped off a little bit. Now Nico's like, all right, it's my turn to shine, but no one else is. So I don't know. I just hope that someone else kind of steps up with him and someone else finds that consistency. And maybe a coach coming in can make everyone play well rather than just Nico. I don't know. Something has to change because this is going to be an absolute bloodbath either way.
Yeah, they're against Fnatic, who themselves are pretty much consistently the top team in the world right now. I think it's either 6 out of 6 or 7 out of 7 tournaments they've entered since Dennis joined them.
They're just
starting,
monsters.
I think it was just before Pro League. They did one just before Pro League, didn't they? Then they went into Pro League and pretty much dominated.
Yep.
Do we see anyone putting them off their perch, as it were?
People can challenge.
Well,
coming up for the next couple of months.
I
I mean,
think
we have the
Luminosity-
major, what, 2 weeks away now?
To be fair, Luminosity probably should have taken a map off of Fnatic during
Yes,
Katowice.
yeah.
The first
Yep.
map there definitely should have, and maybe that puts Fnatic on on the back foot, and they
But
start
had
wobbling
3
off of that.
matches,
See,
three
this is the
three
thing,
maps
right?
to try there, and they're not going to get that, I don't believe, at
No,
the major.
but
No,
the thing is that there's several teams who can challenge Fnatic. Envy beats Fnatic throughout group stages consistently, and even maybe running up to, some maybe more prestigious events, they can do pretty well at it. But now a Devil coming in, will that still be the case? Who knows? It's like Envy have never managed to do this in the bigger finals in a way where you see like Fnatic always just lock it down. No one has experience like Fnatic in those finals. I just said if you put Luminosity against Fnatic on a different day after they had that experience, you'd probably see Luminosity come up with something a lot better than what they had, because they, shriveled. They kind of, run under the shadow of Fnatic brings at these big events, because they are the giants right now, and they play like the same style. They're so relaxed, so calm, and so deadly when they get to those stages. But there are challenges out there. It's just every single one of them has their own downfalls. You could literally list through
you
it.
could say,
you go, like
Astralis were the ones that originally challenged them. That was
Yeah,
they finally
they were the
broke
team.
through, yeah. But unfortunately, they didn't recently, but they may well do again. They seem to be finding their form, but Fnatic Mouse... so the first map is going to be Cash, and then the second map is going to be Dust 2. Now, Dust 2 is the one you give them hope on. Cash, not so sure. Historically, it used to be a good map for Mouse, but we're talking way, way back in the old troubly days.
See, but the thing is, for me, that always used to surprise me with Mouse, was the kind of variety that they had. They were one of the first teams who put kind of Chris over towards B, breaking the vents on the CT side through the kind of, I guess it's kind of like the thin piece of wall there that you can spam through with the USPS. So you can get boosted up into the vents really quickly, no one can see it coming. They were one of the first big teams to do this at like an offline event, like consistently use it and do it really well until people started to work out like, how are they getting there, breaking vents without us hearing it? And then eventually people work it out, because you can obviously break it without being heard.
Right,
So they had some really small nuance plays that were really cool, but then everyone else just caught up. And it's like, you can't just depend on nuances against people like Fnatic, because they'll just sit there and smash you doing defaults.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate. Pretty accurate, absolutely. Cash is not a bad map for mousesports by any means, but the fact is that you're going up against Fnatic, so you're never going to be favored.
Yeah.
Regardless of map. And
Well, I mean, I remember they played SK on it. This was the map where JW went off and basically had like a frag move of his own in one game.
Disgusting.
Oh yeah, with the drag shot outside of his monitor type of thing.
Well, he had that crazy flick shot where he got 4K. He had another one over.
I love the way
at A.
only
He had one where he
JW could
pushed
sit through like and talk through 4 different clips that could be the one you're referencing in one game.
Yeah.
It's like, so which MLG 360 no-scope clip would you like to be talking about today? It's like, there's so many to pick from, especially on Cash, and this used to be the best thing. Like, he was one of the first people in my eyes who brought out really aggressive AWPing to Cash that kind of like caught everyone out. Everyone was like, why does JW just randomly push main with an AWP when there's no need to, or push mid? Like, it's these crazy things he does. He's calmed down, but it was good to see a bit of an old flair from him on this one.
Well, that was it. This was the start. Obviously, we were saying he calmed down. He calmed down because he just didn't feel comfortable enough, and seemingly starting to feel a little comfy now.
Yeah, because that's also the scary part. You mentioned the fact that Fnatic have won pretty much, they have won every tournament they've entered ever since Dennis came along, and the problem for everyone else is the fact that JW has been just consistently playing better and better for each tournament, so who knows what he's going to be doing at the major.
Speaking of Dennis, a lot of people put him in the top pistol of the world.
Yep.
Currently, I think
100%.
That's
it's
fair.
100% up there. Yeah, the best one out there right now. Not a bad pickup.
Yeah, he's definitely a nice guy to have in pistol rounds. Well, just in general as well. Like, he can deal damage with a lot more weapons than just the pistols.
We got him for the pistol round, boys.
Yeah. That will be the day when that actually happens. Teams start
like
picking
a
up like,
specialist.
exactly.
Just chuck him in for the
sub
first
him
few
out
rounds.
afterwards.
Yeah. Just get Nico in for like everything.
It's Nico round, guys. Get
But no,
Nico
it's like,
sit down.
To be fair, the one thing that kind of highlighted me the impact Dennis has had, not that they didn't have it with Pronax there, but it's the kind of like a friendship vibe that they really do actually depend on the team. Because the funny thing is at events, right, if most people see Fnatic walking around, they are quite intimidating. They're not exactly the fun-loving crowd pleasers like you look at your Astralises or your Envies, always like joking around. Like Fnatic are like super serious, like quite intimidating to even just like see walking through. So it's like I remember speaking to one of our photographers, and she was saying like, yeah, if you actually know what they're saying in Swedish, they are just joking around, like having a good time. They are like really good friends, like a complete polar opposite of what you'd maybe expect when you see them like looking like these monsters walking through the event. And it's good, and it works in this team. You get that attitude, you can depend on each each other without even having to think about it. You can have fun while you're playing, which is something that a lot of these teams and players are lacking, because you see how many of them don't want to practice doing dry runs. How many people don't want to put hours into doing, like, okay, let's do set nades, let's do this, and this, because it is boring. But if you're having fun with your friends, it doesn't feel that awful anymore. So Fnatic have like a lot of things going for them that make them so much better than others just by default.
It's what Olaf talked to about Barcelona. Obviously, he was talking about like how we basically have the best communication in the world. Everybody's happy with each other. Everybody's in such a comfy mode.
Yep.
Talking about intimidating, I always thought that, because obviously I'm fairly new to the CS scene. I've only been around for about 18 months now in it. So in everyone's eyes, that is a new guy. 18 months is not a long time, but obviously I always saw that. You know, they do look intimidating.
Yeah.
Until I got to know JW, and then he's just like
lovely.
big bounding Swedish guy
they
coming
are
over,
actually a
big
lovely
smile
team.
on his face coming over. Hey.
Yeah, and it's like Flusher.
He doesn't quite speak like that.
not quite like that. But it's like even Flusher before the events, like normally before like a major or something, I'll try and sit down and talk to various people throughout the teams and just like, hey, how you guys face, getting into this one? What practice have you done? How what like maps are your strength, if you trust me to tell me this? Normally First Pro just like mess with me every time I ask their map pool. They're like, yeah, we're great on this one.
We're great on this.
We're great on this.
They may have actually thought that, which is the terrifying part. But still, no, Flusher will take so much time to sit down and talk with people. Like, they get painted as the bad person very easily, but actually they are very nice guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like weird to see that everyone's like, no, they're
Well,
evil.
they've had that tag, haven't they? Obviously,
Yeah.
from
Swag YOLO.
From the Swag YOLO. Obviously, then we had the triple stack. There's a lot of things that have painted them as the bad guys, and there's a lot of people who don't like them, which is weird, because generally when there's a team as successful as they are, you will get a lot of people who jump on them and say, these are amazing, we love these guys. But PR-wise, just doesn't seem to be going that way. Apparently, the teams are changing servers, guys. So
we just like talking
we'll get back
about
to that. Talking about triple stacks,
Everyone's
fun
doing them.
time, obviously, for Fnatic. They were doing it straight off after that Luminosity Navi final, weren't they? Semi-final. Straight up practicing. What I love to see, though, is the fact that they're all sat practicing it, and there's Crims just eating pizza behind them, just like watching. It's like, yes.
I see. I'll
yes,
lift my mouse
I see
around
how
here.
you did this, yeah. Well, he wasn't even sat down. It was like everybody else warming up and practicing this thing, and he just stood behind everyone, just like nomming on pizza. It's like, okay.
Coach in the making.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
That's how he gets his powers.
Is that how
Maybe
Fugo
that's
does
it.
it? Is
That's
that...
it. You just eat pizza and just stare at them like intently in the back of their heads.
Yeah.
I did hear a rumor that for Crims, I don't know how public it is, but it was for Starladder
God.
last year.
This is a scary
No,
thing.
no,
though,
no,
Coach.
no, no.
Where is this
It's a
going?
good rumor. It's the fact that he hadn't played for 2 weeks before going into Starladder. It's last year, like the beginning of last year tournament. Went into it, hadn't actually played CS for 2 weeks, and came out as the MVP for the tournament.
I wouldn't put it past him, to be
Yeah,
fair.
actually,
Like,
because he is one of those players who don't really need a lot of maintenance to still play at an extremely high level, which is an envy of many people.
I know a lot of other teams and very
That do the
well-known
same thing
players
and fall apart.
who, let's say, a certain player went and played WoW for a month or more and barely touched CS, and then she came back and did extremely well at one of the next very big events. You can put that together if you can work it out. But honestly, some of these players do need to step aside because you need to take a break. You see, obviously, there is a negative side of it where you see maybe Virtus Pro losing a little bit of the fire there. You see, like, a little bit of the kind of consistency. But there's other issues to Virtus Pro than that. You know?
Yeah, it's very hard for people watching, though, to understand that, you're playing a game for a living. How can you burn out? But you can. It can happen. I mean, hell, it happens to some of us. It may be happening to some of us right now as you're on the road constantly. But
what's funny about this?
But, yeah, I mean, as a player, yes, it's your job, but if you're doing something 24/7, and actually, it may be a job, but it's more than a job, because in Counter-Strike, as any esports game out there, they tend to play more than your average work hours. Like, obviously, if you were doing a 9-to-5 job, you're only doing 8 hours, go home and do whatever hobby. Well, if it's your hobby is your job, suddenly you have no hobby. You're
That's
doing
why you play
16
Euro
hours
Truck
a day,
Simulator and you feel great.
then you do end up playing Euro Truck Simulator or Stardew Valley.
True.
Or maybe The Division is where we should be
all
going
our shame
to,
just gets
maybe.
put out here.
It's, everybody has an alternative game,
The
and that
thing
does
is, right,
happen with players.
Now, I would say one thing. A lot of people, when they say, oh, we didn't practice, we took a break, doesn't mean they've just taken a complete break from CS. It means, okay, we took a break from rigid team practicing. We took a break from, a little bit of time where we didn't have officials. Hell, they're probably still playing matchmaking or Face It or, whatever it is. They're probably still playing, but just, like, in a very light approach. Yeah, surfing. Like, whatever it is, just chilling out. It's not, like, super serious. Like, practicing can be the most tedious, boring thing in the world. You sit there playing 2 officials, and then you have to go through the demos, then you have to do dry runs with nades, then you have to sit there and maybe theory craft how to anti-strat something. It's just like, this isn't exciting. Like it's the life of a pro gamer is probably not as thrilling as people make it out to be, if I'm completely honest. But you do get to play video games for a living.
Life
so.
in hotels.
No, there is an upside to it.
There is certainly an upside, but yeah, I think that people kind of mistake that whole taking a break thing as like, we just don't touch our PCs. Some teams will do that. They will need that break because you do get into like that horrible routine of, this is my life now. I never leave this chair. I am now glued to it, which is how I feel currently. In the nicest way. But no, it depends on the player and the person. Some can bounce back after a couple of hours of DM, sit there, just keep themselves fresh. It doesn't, it's player to player.
I like the approach that teams are starting to take, like your Astralis, that they treat it as now their gaming house is effectively an office, and they treat it as such. They don't all live together. They're not getting under each other's feet. They will go to their office.
Joe had a great
and work
theory
as
as to the main problem when males live together.
Oh yes, we won't. You could probably
That's
guess
not for
what it's like when
broadcast.
males live
Is it not?
together.
Oh.
Males need their own spare time.
Well, I was leaving into like
it's the best
bring it
way
in.
I can put it, but I like that approach, and also Fnatic's approach is they just don't actually boot camp
You
at
don't-
all. They just sit there and go, you know what? They tried it. It was about 2 years ago, didn't they? They tried
Yeah.
it, didn't like it whatsoever,
It depends on
and
the
ended up doing their own
teams.
thing.
Yeah.
Some
It-
teams will thrive in that environment and really like it. Like some teams will just need that, or don't have the best living circumstances to sit in and want to be around like a massive family atmosphere all day. That doesn't probably work for quiet practice, or maybe you can't be up till midnight talking, on a headset, screaming at people as to how to do, your set plays towards A because your family's next door trying to sleep. So some teams actually will benefit from it, or need to move out, or need to look for other options, and it'll work that way. Others don't want to live together. Like I remember moving in with a certain someone, going back to when I first moved here. Sorry, Graham. When I knew him as an admin
I
for
wonder where this
years,
was
right?
going for a minute. I gotta be honest.
I knew Graham for years. He was one of the admins through one of the old tournaments, and I was like, cool, I know him pretty well. No. When you live with someone for even just like a couple of days, things change. And of course, you could go to events with people, but as soon as you're around them for endless hours, it kind of gets a little different.
Especially Graham, yes indeed. Thank you, producer Matt. Graham's not here to defend himself, bless him.
No.
He's probably delaying the tournament right now, actually, as Delayham tends to do. But yeah, I mean, what do we make of the whole NA situation on this approach
Oh, this
as well?
is going in some real deep filler here.
So no, because I want to talk about obviously the gaming house thing. This is something
Yeah.
that the NA teams have literally all jumped on the wagon of. A lot of them do have the gaming houses now, and we're talking about how they don't work. European teams will only use the gaming houses when a major's approaching. NA teams have kind of like jumped on board and said,
But
we are all going to live together.
Ping's also an issue for NA. Like, not everyone's East Coast, not everyone's West Coast. It can be coming down to the fact to get everyone towards the same area, get everyone practicing, close enough by is a lot easier. And I doubt they're going to buy all these players' individual apartments elsewhere. So just throw them together.
Well, it's not like they don't get paid enough. I mean, they could afford to actually get their own apartments here.
Yeah, but it's
then
also,
again,
it's also
they-
a pretty big commitment
People
for
assume we get
something
paid
that,
all
and you also, as long as you have Fnatic not needing to do any of that, and
Yep.
pretty much most of the top teams in Europe not having to do that, you can always use that as an argument. If they can do it from home, so should we. So I think it's gaming houses are not going to be the saving grace or the downfall of NACS.
Well, it's a topic we could go on and on about, ladies and gentlemen, but the game is apparently ready, so it's going to be Fnatic versus mousesports with one of those guys that really wants to live in a gaming house with Mitch.
I'm clean. I cook food. It's all chicken breast and broccoli, but I still cook food. It's not all that bad. Moses, last game of the night, before obviously you jet off tomorrow, mate. We've got Fnatic and mousesports. First impressions, mate. What have you got?
It's going to be just a shellacking.
Shellacking.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it.
Fnatic is going to go nuts here. Although we did say this last night about the FaZe SK.
Yeah, that
matchup,
was-
and it turned into like a marathon overtime.
That was bizarre.
But yeah, I mean, I don't see any way that like mousesports lost to Fnatic when Nico had like 50 kills. So that's not going to happen again. You don't get 50 kills that frequently. So Fnatic here I think they're just too tall of a task for mousesports.
No doubt about it. Well, it'll be very interesting to see if the Germans can put their money where their mouth sports is. Thank you very much for that one, Lauren. And it's going to be a tough fight. As you said, Dust 2 is a map that people sort of say, yeah, there's a chance here that mousesports can come away with it. But we're up against Fnatic here, of course. And recently for mousesports, as we did touch on earlier on, not ideal, but Caixa is obviously going to be our first map here as well. Fnatic obviously looking pretty good. This will be their first game since returning from Katowice, actually. So they've had a little bit of time to decompress, as it were. Obviously reflect on their victory, dominating again the world scene. They're back here on Caixa. against the mousesports. We are into the ninth.
Had some time to admire the trophy, maybe keep it polished a little bit, show your friends and family.
Clean the beer out of it.
Yeah. I wonder if they actually do that, like NHL players do.
Well, I don't know. I think everyone thinks about it. I think Fnatic have probably done it before. I think they've probably won enough tournaments now that the novelty of drinking out of the cup is probably not
like,
present anymore.
Like, I just don't have the time for this anymore.
Look, I can't be bothered. The amount of beer I have to put in this thing.
If I had to do this every time I won a tournament, I would just die.
That's right. You'd be laying on the side of the street with nothing but your trophies to keep you company. Drunkard. So there's a knife round being done here, and we are about to jump back into this here. Fnatic will be starting off on the CT side here. This is obviously the first of two. Dust 2 around the corner as well. So Keish for Fnatic. And yes, Keish is the way I say it, guys. It is a dialect issue. Look, this is very, very good for...
It's not an issue. Be proud.
This is very, very good for Fnatic against Luminosity and Katowice as well. Obviously, the Luminosity really making a resurgence and coming to the fore. But Fnatic was a 16-3 win for Fnatic. So, yeah, they're pretty good at Keish.
Yeah, even historically, they've been a pretty solid team on Cash. So, I mean, they really don't have a weak map here whatsoever. So it's kind of... You know, just kind of pick your poison and see if you can get away with one. But at the moment, Olaf, the only player in mid, Nico's got his patented Deagle on pistol round. Olaf taking that battle and just crushing it.
Yeah, like Lauren said as well, it's quite likely we'll see Fnatic even just be able to crush mousesports on their defaults if all goes well for them and if their time off has been productive here. So currently, Bomb's still towards the mid side here as well. It's actually, we've got Dennis and Dennis here. This is going to wreck me, but that's all right. I can't pronounce 2 N's as opposed to 1, but you get the point, guys.
It is going to be difficult, isn't it? It'll be good when they're in a 1-on-1. That'll be just really confusing. Either way, there's an opening pick from Nex. Olaf sticks around a little bit too long. He does fall. Still, mousesports just still very much centralized on the map. 2 players towards B, 2 players toward A, and actually the bomb is going to work its way towards A. But Speedy has smokes and 2 flashes, so he's going to have the option of maybe just the default highway smoke, a couple flashbangs out, see what happens.
Warning shots from Crim's fired, and that's enough actually to keep mousesports back for the moment.
It's a clever stack as well.
Yeah, it's be very, very hard to deal with. I think by the time mousesports realise what's going on, they would have taken a lot of damage, and it is Spitty who's going to get taken down by Dennis, his teammate there. So fair enough. Maybe the boost confused him so damn much that they ended up killing each other. Crims gets a double on the backside, and it's a very clean affair for Fnatic, only having lost Olaf Meister towards the middle of the map.
Yeah, no trouble whatsoever for Fnatic to deal with that. Just some very nice shots coming out from Crims. Olaf also, I mean, that first battle he takes with Nico is just stellar. Just shuts it down before it can even get started. And a pause.
Yep. Very early on in the piece here for these two. They're going to be paused out, so it'd be nice if we had a little bit more to draw on to go into the pause time with. But, you know, at least we did see our analysts put in some actual work beforehand and really have to fill some time. So we'll try and reciprocate.
About time they had to do something.
I can't really talk because I've been on and off that desk.
Gotten to some sketchy subject areas. That
Oh,
was
but
pretty
mate,
cool.
we headed
We
some
were dying.
very interesting trajectories and tangents, I'm telling you.
Things could have got weird.
They already were, man. But obviously the idea of good discussion, guys. It's fine. We like talking about gaming houses and all that. Sometimes this office feels like one big gaming house when we're sat here all day. The energy drink cans scattered around the place, as well as the old food containers also help that one here. So a mic problem, I think, is what I'm told by production here as well. So we'll see if that gets sorted here. But first round, of course, for Fnatic. Yeah, just a very straightforward boost there. Didn't really look like anything overly crazy from them.
No, it was just the bullets raining in from that stack. I mean, 2 USPs, no one really wanted to peek into it, and none of the flashbangs really affected that stack. By the time they eventually got him out, the rotation, I think Flusha actually got one through the smoke. I didn't see who was actually stacked on top of Crims. That actually might have been Flusha up there. So, could be wrong on that one.
I mean, the team kill for mousesports is not
That didn't help anything, did it?
No.
Well,
And some might say it actually hindered them.
The beauty is now we have a -1 scoreline on Dennis. So how long do we get to have that treat up on the board?
And so we're going to have negative Dennis and positive Dennis, and they're going to collide together, and they're just going to eliminate each other.
That'll be perfect. There it is.
Some physics for you guys there. So Dennis has got himself in towards A main here. And it'd be Chris J at the other end of that one there as well. None the wiser currently to where he stood, as he is going to be able to smoke out. And he can isolate Chris J here quite nicely. So see if he comes forward on this. No. Didn't get a glimpse of Chris J as he was crouched just behind the trolley. And now Fnatic looks like they want to come forward for this one. I mean, they completely cut Chris off of any sort of reinforcements here as well. Maybe not even intentionally, but they have so much control now of A main. JW as well, aggressing. We'll find Nex And he does call next, as Dennis and Nico are sat in towards the middle of the map here as well. And Nico, at least some deagle action from him. Second round in a row, he's picked up that one. Dennis as well, trying to make his own one work, but no, it's just Nico with 27 points of health. And yeah, that didn't last very long either, so mousesports had 2 kills for them over 2 rounds in total.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of a tough start for mousesports. Fnatic just like throwing caution to the wind, not caring, pushing up everywhere on the map. That's going to be the first goal for mousesports in that opening gun round, is to be able to curb that. You know, make sure Fnatic is going to get punished if they're going to kind of do those hyper aggressive plays all across the map. They've got to contain that so that Fnatic feels like they can't do it every single round. Otherwise, mousesports is just going to find themselves constantly getting flanked, pushed when they're not ready for it, and it could just snowball. And that is a sick nade.
Oh, mousesports would have to be reeling from that one. Ears ringing, arms heavy, mum spaghetti, all the rest. It's mousesports now. Massive deficit for them to come in towards this one. I think in a lot of the differences between these two teams in this game may just be fundamental. If you look at, it's not anything overly crazily tactical from Fnatic, like was said. It's just that Fnatic are pound for pound pulling things off just a lot easier and better than mousesports. At least so far anyway. Olofmeister, oh, the flash is really going to get to the third. And Dennis is also there as well towards next. That was pretty rough. And that's what you can expect to see from Olaf and the rest of his team.
Yeah, and once again, JW was pushing up towards the B bomb site. He had a huge flank coming in, so no matter what happened with that pop flash push from Fnatic, this is just beautiful. They're all lined up, all blind against the wall. Olaf with 3 quick ones.
Seriously.
But even so, JW was just ready to pounce on that as well. Yep. So many different. I mean, it was against no armor, just some light pistols. So AK's now into this round. JW has the AWP. And he has been sick lately. He has been an absolute monster. Olaf pushing through the smoke, even taking a little bit of damage. Dennis is going to check this, but he's going to lose the battle anyways. Olaf just coming out superior in that fight.
Yep, and obviously still only using an MP9, so making that one work now. Crimps in towards A main, and then look, mousesports should really be careful about setting up or stacking up an A main for long periods of time, because Fnatic in the last few rounds have constantly hit that one and just cut Mouse off at the knees. At least here, Nex is able to make the trade and come out on top. Nico there, very, very low. He was down to 19 as he actually walked onto the site, so didn't really have much of an advantage going in. Some cute little taps there from Nex. Will claim JW, and we're going to see Flusher be rotating up from Highway, and Olofmeister still on the side already, albeit quite low. Good nade from Flusher there. So a little bit of damage, go across to Nex, and Fnatic pulling out of A.
And look at Olofmeister, low HP, he's got to make some kind of a play. Gets himself out of the bomb site, which is in itself very, very impressive. Now he's going to be on a big flank, but his teammate falls. Flusher is gone. And mousesports is looking for Olaf because they know he was in the bomb site at one point. They're a little bit hesitant, a little bit scared, and Olaf finds an AK-47 to use. Still a tall task ahead of him. He's got to win this initial battle. Nex has the angle. He misses the shot. Olaf doesn't, though.
Well, still, Olaf now with 12 points of health. We've seen crazier things from him than to win in this situation, and he's definitely going to go for it here. A bomb is down, and behind quad is Spitty. And Olaf really needs to just decimate him here as well. Come with a cheeky little angle. Bad, but none of those shots actually connecting in that instance. He's again got to perch himself up there. Olofmeister just gets the better of Spitty. And the first gun round for mousesports should, by rights, have come up. But Fnatic don't really care about that. And they are going to just breeze on through. Olofmeister just stunning stuff from him. Now, here's the thing. mousesports, we talk about fundamentals, we talk about how they sort of might get blown aside here as well. Yes, at Katowice, they did get close to Fnatic, and I spoke to Spitty afterwards, and mousesports definitely believe in themselves. They were very upset about their performance in Katowice, especially Spitty was spitting chips at the time, but
well,
right
yeah,
here,
the 2 matches they lost to get knocked out of that were just unreal.
Yeah.
It's such a collapse out of them, and back-to-back matches, not even really a long break in between them, so that was crushing.
could have fried an egg on his head. He was that mad.
Yeah, I mean, that round, Olaf gets 4 kills. I think 3 of them were with 12 HP, so somehow makes it work. It's almost the factor, it's almost like the Tiger Woods factor with Olaf, where like the players hit tab and they see who they're going against, and it's like they already believe that they've lost.
Yeah, he was sat behind quad shaking in his boots, and Olofmeister does what he does best. But obviously onto the 5th round here as well. Fnatic just putting up a staunch CT-sided hold here, and they got all the guns that they need. It's Dennis with the AWP here. And again, Chris J and Nex posturing towards A main yet again. Fnatic have shown that they're happy to blow in through the doorway in A main and actually just, take the fight to mousesports. But this time we see a mild variation in tempo as Nico is actually able to open the door, peek out towards Highway, and actually get the challenge. He takes down Crims. He may not move yet as Dennis will be ready to peek on towards him. There's a lot of targets for Dennis to shoot at, and he hits none of them. Now the pressure might start to be applied a bit. A still slower push on the water side for mousesports. Dennis missing that second shot, so he's put himself in a rough spot. But Olofmeister is there just to do the extra heavy lifting when it's required. Dennis will be cornered and pinned to the wall, but Olofmeister is still there. What a beast. 3 for him right now, and Next is going to try and hold on. He does at least get him, but Olofmeister as well is almost worth 2 or 3 players in a lot of these rounds, so even taking him down, the damage was already done.
Smart play by Dennis as well. He very easily, after that missed shot, could have re-peeked, feeling the pressure, feeling them encroaching on his position, just gone for the battle and tried to get one. But he plays it passively. He baits them into Olaf, allows his teammate to bail him out, and then he goes for a re-peek and finds a third. So really good synergy between those 2 players in that A bomb site. And again, mousesports just get locked out. They have the full losing bonus, so you see a little bit of an investment. They buy up some armor, they buy up some pistols and utility, try and do a little bit of economic damage to Fnatic in this round. And then next time they'll be able to buy anything they want. All the Molotovs and smokes they'll need, an AWP if they'd like it. They'll have anything.
Smoke up towards A main here as well, but Chris J is going to push out undeterred, and he's going to get taken down very, very quickly by Crims, who is able to flick towards Squeaky and get rid of Nico as well. No huge commitment in terms of where the bomb's going for mousesports on A, but Next still seems to be heading in that direction, while the rest of his team, Dennis namely, have moved in towards mid now. Towards Highway, it was being watched, but Olofmeister falls there, an uncharacteristic little bit of a slip from him. Dennis taking only a very small amount of damage here, so the other Dennis is going to get himself an AWP from what I can tell, or he had one already, should I say. He's going to have to jump across here as Dennis pressuring here. It's Crims on towards him, and Spitty drops as well. Next, trying to work out of A main. There was a bit of distraction. So a moment, I guess, where you could get past Fnatic, and it's a shot on towards Crims, but of course, Flusher is there to return it tenfold.
Yeah, now this is the round that mousesports need to start turning it around. They can get that AWP if they want it. Yeah, then Chris J, I would be surprised if he doesn't pick one up. So yeah, he's got that full armor, smoke to utilize as well. He's going to be a big factor. They're going to need him to be able to get some picks with that, but they're going up against a little bit of a switch. Olaf has an AWP, Dennis has the AWP, JW still on the M4. I mean, Fnatic, one of the most versatile teams in the professional scene. So many players can do so many different positions. Going to be very, very tough now for mousesports to read this.
Chris J working B alongside Spitty, but Olofmeister has actually got himself an AWP here as well, and he'll be watching in towards B main. So there's no path of least resistance for mousesports. It's going to be very, very hard for them to identify. Chris J hoping to actually start punching some holes in the lineup and be able to funnel some players through, and it's a flash forcing Olofmeister back inside Checkers, and Chris J might actually have a shot, but the timing not quite there. He does go for a bit of a flick, doesn't connect, and Olofmeister is bought a stay of execution for now, and he might just try to turn this around a little bit. It's a smoke towards B main. He wants to try and reposition as much as he can. Maybe even come forward here.
Yeah, now the next question is, mousesports, they spot an AWP over towards the B bomb site, and they still don't know that there's 2 out this time. They know there's at least 1. So where do they go from here? It's going to be delayed mid-control. They're going to boost Chris J up, see if he can get them a pick, but no one's really presenting themselves. Flusha is swinging out a little bit far, but he's not committing to this wide of a peek towards the boost. So Chris J is going to find nothing. Flashbang comes out next, wins that battle with Flusha. And Dennis even misses an op shot, so mousesports now have a huge advantage. JW getting boosted up in vents. He's the next one. He can wreak havoc from here.
Yeah, you can see he's just delaying his push out as well, so we might actually be able to come up behind mousesports if they don't get out of mid quickly. Hard to say what will happen there as Crims is on that A side. It was a flash over towards Dennis, but he's been pretty sharp, and he does manage to deal with Crims, and even JW choosing his moment to try and come from the rear gets taken down, and that's an incredibly clean round for mousesports there after 6 very, very tough ones. They bring it back and definitely make their mark here on Fnatic for their first round. Yeah,
that full mid-control, and nobody falls for mousesports in the initial fight, so they have a very easy time from there, just exploiting all the rotations, all the pushes that Fnatic has to do to try and get back into it. Either way, another big investment. JW now with the AWP, Olaf back on the M4, Dennis still has his op, so another double op setup coming out, and this is so expensive, it's actually going to deplete the bank that Fnatic had built up from their first 6 round wins, so they've got to have success with it here if they want to keep buying.
We see Spitty next as well over towards A. Just taking their time here. Fnatic obviously losing a few players in their 1 round, so of course Flusher with the CZ here, not able to really make big investments. It was said that by Fnatic that they're one of the best at communicating in the world amongst it themselves here as well. So we'll see how they navigate some of these situations. The last round, of course, unfortunate.
They're very efficient with their communication. They don't necessarily say a lot, but they get the point across. They very much know the exact information that needs to be passed along. And Chris J up top again, going for an opening pick. He's very exposed, though. Fnatic not pouncing quite yet. There is an off angle towards Sandbag. It's all down to timing, and Chris finds it. Olaf a little bit slow in that peak. That's going to force JW into an awkward spot. He does get tagged up, down to 22, and he's got to bail out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the man didn't have any armor on him this round. He's glass cannon, so he's lucky to actually come away with his life here, and he will give ground. Whether it goes to A or B, though, he's not sure. It's going to be Dennis over at the A site. Not amazing opening rounds from him. We saw him getting pressured a lot. It was actually Olofmeister bailed him out of trouble, even after he did die. So we need to see him just make some connections here, as Flusher will be the lone man on the B site. JW is on his way, though. He'll be up at heaven momentarily. Flusher just stalling out here as well. He sees a Molotov coming behind him, needs to relocate towards Generator. Has the cover of smoke for a while, but he will have to move soon. Flusher at 1 point of health, by the way, super low. JW looking for a mousesports player, but they're all skirting around. They know there's going to be presence up top, and JW missing that shot. Don't know how. Everyone through the wall won't connect. So mousesports do have that side under control now. 3 players from Fnatic. We'll see what the retake looks like.
Yeah, JW not able to... If they don't get a kill here pretty soon, I imagine they're just going to try and save these weapons for the next round. One looks like he wants to peek. That's Chris just barely staying in cover, but JW is ready for it. Crims is going to go for some kind of intel. Still no one from mousesports peeking. Very disciplined, and Crims goes a little bit too far. Chris finds him. Not from here. Dennis and JW save these AWPs for the next round. Still a very scary situation for mousesports to be with 2 ops on the board. Fnatic, you know, notorious for their half buys, their force buys with pistols behind this, still could be a very winnable round.
Crims was in hell at that point. I think he just peeked out, and we saw JW looking at Chris J. Chris J was crouched so that he could see hell easily, not expose himself at all. So mousesports hold that site fairly well. And let's see, what Fnatic do come back with now, having saved those 2 warps, how they're used and how they sort of work around them. Going to be double warp still for mousesports here, Dennis and Chris J. And CZ for Flusher. He actually had one last round as well, if I'm not mistaken. And a scout here for Crims as well. So interesting stuff here. They do manage to get themselves a little bit of utility as well. They definitely want to get picks and maybe not worry too much about stalling mousesports, as they do have those doors to work with.
Yeah, it's actually very rare that we see the ops of Fnatic be this quiet. They really haven't had an impact in these past 2 to 3 rounds. This is a clever position for that scout, just jumping up and over these quad boxes. A little bit scary. Can do the damage, definitely, and now even jumping up here. So Crims being very tricky with the scout, trying to abuse this feature of it. Olaf is just hiding in towards mid. Flusher with his CZ supporting JW over towards the B bomb site, but no one from mousesports wants to move. They're looking for any kind of aggressive play they can punish.
It's a warning nade in towards A main for Crims. Next, taking his sweet time there as the bomb being dropped back behind. So mousesports hoping that either Nex or Nico can create an opening here, or at least they can pull Nico back and pick up the bomb and go elsewhere. No attempt, though, for mousesports to actually stake their claim to mid yet, which is interesting because a lot of their successful rounds, or their first big one, came off the back of a clean mid take and actually still having 5 men up at the end. So now Chris J is going to go back towards boost and see if he can open anything up. Olofmeister may oblige momentarily here. And you can see JW set forward here, wants to get an early peek and try and take some of the wind out of mousesports' sails, but he's just going to smoke it up and back up.
Yeah, but he has the wrong read here, because mousesports is grouping up towards the B bomb site, and he's now so far away. Olaf's going to push mid, so he can at least get in towards vents, but Chris J is going to be there watching the flank. And once again, it's just Flusher with the CZ. He's got to hold off this hit, and Flusher, I mean, this gun, he's sick with it, but this might just be too much. There's Olaf dropping down, grabs the AWP. He's in B main. mousesports now, they're trapped here. Goes for the peek, but Nex drops him.
Ballsy there from Olofmeister to come forward. Got his own AWP back, but had it wrenched out of his hands almost as quickly as he regained it. Dennis up in heaven, and Crims has already fallen here, so it's likely we'll see him try to save it. Chris J. Missed that shot there from Truck. Would have loved to have had that gun out of Dennis's hand, as Fnatic will have to go the very low econ by next round. God help me. Words are hard.
It happens. Happens to the best of us.
Yes. Although I did enjoy hearing Lauren's laugh sped up. That was,
she
that was
just,
excellent.
yeah, she sounds like a squirrel, doesn't she? She just broke. It's incredible. Incredible stuff. But yeah, now Fnatic, I mean, they save the ops. They go for one more round. Smart to invest in it with the 2 ops, but once again, they just go a little bit quiet. It's been all Olaf with the M4 doing most of the damage, Crims as well, but once they get the ops in their hands, everything kind of calms down. So Fnatic now onto the rare full save. No armor invested. They do upgrade some pistols, but once again, Chris and Dennis shutting that down. They're going to have a free access into this A bomb site. Olaf even gets double Molotov out of position. So now it should just be an easy cleanup. No one should fall. JW with the Deagle over towards the truck, just taking some quick shots, but not committing to any battles.
Yeah, it's mousesports there, just cleaning Fnatic off that side as well. They didn't spare any expense when it came to the use of Molotovs and flashes. They made sure they covered all their bases, and obviously Olofmeister getting nice and crispy up in the corner. But now Fnatic, obviously after that one, didn't really see anything from them in the full save. But again, you've got to be realistic about these things sometimes. mousesports have brought back 4 rounds and are looking good. Fnatic though, now, no warp, but they've managed to get themselves some rifles, and more importantly, that utility we're starting to see. Everyone has got a smoke, importantly enough here, so they can hold mousesports at arm's length for a certain period of time. Interestingly enough, actually, we see those blue dots moving forward. In fact, Fnatic trying to take control of mid, but it's all about A here for mousesports, and Crims I don't want to be ready for this one here. Flash comes out, there's a Molotov into Dennis's corner as that door was open, so he has to back away, and not looking overly comfortable yet as he needs to sort out with Crims who is going where. The smoke is up though, and mousesports look like they are going to get to pretty close quarters here. Olofmeister does get one. Trading happening over on the bomb side, but you can see Olofmeister already made his way forward. There was actually a Fnatic Molotov there, and Olofmeister, luckily enough, that one got quenched. 2 players on the bomb. Bomb going down, of course, but this is Fnatic now breaking back. NiKo needs to hold from here as well. Beautiful taps as well, straight toward the head of Crims. So has 2 more players to get through, and the smoke in his way as this defuse will surely happen. They're just going to pull him out, bait him out, of course, with the sound of the bomb being defused. And Fnatic will get their 7th.
Yeah, you can just see the talent of NiKo there, all shining through in a 1-on-4 from doorway. Gets 2
Fantastic.
really nice headshots, and you could almost believe he very nearly got JW in that initial fight, but wisely they just smoke him off. JW falls away, force him out of the smoke. So 7-4, Fnatic finally respond. They're back on the board. Plenty of money has been built up, though, by mousesports.
Yep.
After all is said and done, into this round with all bought, Speedy and Next still over 9,000. There's still so much bank that Fnatic has to burn through.
Yeah, and on the Fnatic side, actually, of course, that round was quite costly for them. You saw them just pulling their resources a little bit towards the start. For that reason, obviously, no helmet for Flusher, no utility for Olofmeister, so that's what they're working with. JW, at least, though, has actually got himself some armor, so no glass cannon for the man, and he's going to peek forward and take down Speedy. Quite a forward position, sorry, for an AWP to take, but it works out.
Yeah, Dennis even gets one, and that's kind of the upcoming to play that we normally see at Fnatic. Those aggressive peaks, catching people off guard. I mean, in that 4-round win streak, mousesports only lost 2 players in 4 rounds, which is incredible. That's why you see all this money built up. And now with the 2-man advantage, Fnatic looking to put a dent into that bank. Dennis is going to lead the way for mousesports into this A-bomb site. He gets spotted out, though. It's going to be Crims in the corner, and they're going to Molotov him out. He gets away safely. Dennis is here just lurking, though.
You can see the sheer weight of Molotovs. Definitely, obviously, forcing Crims out of that corner. He'll go back in a sec because mousesports haven't really capitalized off that. Now they come forward, but they get hit by a flash to the face immediately. Crims now just trying to relocate there, as you can see Next, trying to shut down any push in from Highway. He got JW, but Crims and Olofmeister, well, we know what those two can do when they have a sight to themselves. And mousesports get crunched under the boot heel.
It just amazes me how much money mousesports has to work with right now. 2 members right around 11,000.
11K. It's insane.
Yeah.
They were clean rounds, though, as well. And like I said, they used heck of a lot of Molotovs or flashes just to make sure they didn't sustain any casualties. And
it's smart because, I mean, you're just ensuring that you're going to win the round, especially against a team like Fnatic. The force buys they have are basically as strong as gun rounds. So you've got to be very cautious. JW takes an early angle, doesn't see anything, and he falls away. Could be a little bit dangerous. He's had some misrotations on this bomb site. There it is. Flusha drops out of vents, drops a flash to help cover him, so he's got position. JW is still here, but he could get smoked off very easily in CT spawn.
The flash is coming in now as well. Flash is caught out in no man's land. He's trying to spray down. He actually gets one for his troubles and inflicts a lot of damage towards mousesports as they come forward. But JW takes it upon himself to enter the site, and Spitty's brain has been entered by his shot. Chris J tries to respond. There's a 2v2, and mousesports definitely being forced to fight for this one. The bomb is loose currently. Crims is perched up in that top corner. Not able to make the shot, though, and he may even relocate now as Chris J jumping across the gap. You will note here as well that Chris J does have a smoke as well. He could re-smoke on towards Hell if he needs to. And Fnatic now spreading out, of course. Crims will go through mid. JW will sit a long way back here. Maybe a tricky retake here for the Swedes.
Yeah, Crims is going to give him a new angle using the full time of this new bomb, and JW has plenty to use. He's got a Molotov. Going to be able to flush out that default position. He's got to be careful. Dennis wanted to peek that. That is going to force Dennis away. He is burning, down to 20, down to 12. And JW picks him off as he escapes in a beautiful retake. Crims in great position to take advantage of Chris J as well. That's a 9th round for Fnatic. That Molotov.
Yeah. Cool as a Swedish blizzard in the winter. I tell you what, they really took their time as well. You saw Crims in towards mid. He didn't run, he didn't mess around. He just tried to be quiet as he possibly could. They knew how much time they had to work with. That Molotov was just expertly placed by JW, and well, obviously he managed to get the shot. So this is him pushing onto the site. G'day.
That was sick.
I don't really know how that works, but You know, really important round for JW as well as he kept his team in it. And, you know, we said the orbs for Fnatic. A couple quiet rounds there as well, but JW clutching out a very, very important one with Crims as his offsider.
Finally, the money for mousesports is starting to just fade away. Still Nex and Nico have about $25,000 to $3,000 in the bank. Dennis again going for this jump up on the boxes. Doesn't get punished for it. Just falls away safely. Doesn't do any real damage. Spots out one. This is going to be a pretty standard round. Mousesports spread out at the start. But now that they've kind of readjusted towards the A bomb site, JW and Flush are pushed up over at B. So they have the intel of what's coming. JW is going to stay here. Flush is going to be on a quick rotate.
First pick already, Dennis being taken away from the Fnatic lineup here, but Olafmeister and Crims have that A side as well. We know what they can do together. But in fact, Olaf will have to do the rest on his own. It's Crims falling to Nico now as Olafmeister. They didn't think there'd be a third player there. Olafmeister getting in position quickly. He's able to get that kill now and evens the ledger up at 3 apiece. He comes forward, tries to get the spray down, but Flusher is already on the side as well. Fnatic quick to respond to this one here as the bomb is definitely heading towards A. So they're in the right place. Let's see if they can make the shots. JW sends Spitty packing. And there might be a second one as well. He doesn't make that flick there. Chris J will eventually fall there.
This is the problem with going against Fnatic. If you can't take over these bomb sites quickly, they're just so good at rotating. And their players just take these individual battles and choke points that slow down your attack. And by the time, I mean, it looks so unlikely that Flusha would make it back. But JW biding his time in quad, basically, essentially just baiting his teammate, just saying, all right, you die. They're not going to be ready for me here. Gets one more kill that stalls everything out. Yep. And mousesports eventually just kind of break under the pressure.
Yeah, they literally didn't think there'd be any more than 2 players there as well. So why they didn't bother to check quad again after they managed to get rid of Crims. There's Chris Chase out well back and Flusher punished for coming so far forward. JW's not going to find too much. See, we did see his opponent jump across here, but it'd be unlikely Chris J feels the need to challenge him at this particular juncture. Flash from JW knows there's some presence for mousesports towards mid as well. Takes the peak, takes the head. And next will fall now, so JW is definitely probing for some of these kills here, but he's managed to even the ledger so far. Chris J still sat back on the right as well, so he has to be careful. Saw a glimpse of him here, and he wants to take this fight. This is pure aggression from JW. Misses the no-scope now. Grenade towards the ground. Do a little bit of damage to Chris J as well, but the pistol not going to be able to finish it off.
JW,
bizarre.
Of course, he's the only player who makes that kind of a play. Just keeps going. Now Crims and Dennis on the rotate. The B bomb site is going to be lost. Pop Flash comes out, delays a little bit longer. He's waiting for teammates. Olaf still over at A just to be respectful of the fact that the bomb could be headed that way. Either way, now into the B bomb site, it's going to be another retake. There's only one flashbang Fnatic has to work with.
And we saw that the Molotov was instrumental for Fnatic on their last B-side retake. They don't have that available to them this time. So again, they're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, as Anders would put it, go in raw. Dennis sat on that site, smoke towards Hell at the moment. There is a player top side, and Fnatic just deciding how to allocate themselves to this one. They're actually going to jump down. You see one up the top, Olafmeister's down the bottom as well. He actually fell down, but look at Crims and Dennis getting it done. 1v1 there. Dennis, can he make the shot? He gets the spray on towards Chris J and Fnatic again. Another unlikely retake, or maybe unlikely for any other team, but Fnatic, all class right here.
Yeah, that's such a hard angle for Chris J to op at. It's so difficult at that kind of an angle to just peer up and be able to guess where that peak is going to come from. It's essentially a no-scope or a quick shot, or a quick scope, and he can't land it at all. So 11-4. I mean, it looked promising for mousesports there for a little bit when they rattled off those 4 straight. Yep. They were very dominant in those 4 rounds. So you were starting to believe that they could actually put together a T side that would be able to overwhelm Fnatic. But once Fnatic regains control, it just never went back.
Well, they pulled their socks up, and mousesports got that little run. And yeah, they got some serious bank, but all the money in the world wasn't going to protect them from Fnatic, who was just going to take round after round away.
That's what's insane. They built up so much money that they actually had full buys for the rest of the half, and they still couldn't get a 5th round. So Fnatic it's almost like a switch got flipped, and they just ended everything.
Well, mousesports are sort of hoping that they can get the score flipped here. Only 4 rounds from their T side. Yeah, I mean, and look, I think there's at least 2 retakes by Fnatic that were pretty impressive and unlikely statistically if you take your average team, as well as Olafmeister over on that A site there as well. So you throw all these factors together and you get obviously Fnatic now with this 7-round lead. Going to the second half as well, I mean, mousesports playing that CT, Fnatic as well, known as a team who really can shake players out of their comfortable little hidey holes and deal with them quite quickly. So, Keish, going to be a good one for Fnatic. I mean, as we did look back at the past results, Moses, it's been good for Fnatic for quite some time. And I don't think mousesports honestly are of the caliber, at least at the moment, to take it away from them.
Yeah, it doesn't appear so. Although Fnatic, you know, of recent times, you know, this dominant streak they've been on recently, especially you look at Katowice, once they get to the playoffs, it's their CT sides that were so dominant. They struggled at times on their Terra side. So it depends on the defense that mousesports is going to go out, because Fnatic actually falls into that same trap that Envious used to, where they're so successful on their force buys that they have so much confidence to be able to continue doing them, and it could be a double-edged sword if they don't work out.
Now we're just in half-time, of course. These two teams getting ready to jump into. I think Nico, just some connection problems there as well. But we did get a glimpse at the scoreboard earlier on, and Olafmeister looking pretty darn good, of course. I think after about 8 rounds, he used 15 frags or something similar. So he's definitely been making light work of mousesports for the most part. And again, over towards Dust2 for the next one. You know, map that was heralded as a mousesports home ground. I'd say it's going to be quite difficult for them against the rampant Fnatic. And yes, they are in form. We don't really know, I guess, what their takeaways are from Katowice except the cup, and as we did discuss earlier on, but they're looking pretty comfortable, looking well adjusted to being back online.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, knowing Fnatic, this is probably one of the first times they've actually played since Katowice. They probably took a little bit of a break there. I know we haven't seen them in Pro League. I haven't seen them in anything else, so they probably just came home and, you know, did their own thing, maybe went on vacation, hung out with family, friends, girlfriends, whatever it might be.
Bought a Porsche.
Yeah, very likely. Yeah. But yeah, this is that's kind of what they do after these big events, and they kind of do a lot of practice leading up to them, and then right afterwards, they just don't touch the PCs for a while. I mean, I've seen Olaf streaming, I know that, but I mean, no kind of team practice, no organized, you know, stressful team play, working on maps. So taking a break, clear the head, come back, and like they mentioned, Crim's one of those players who took 2 weeks off and then entered into a tournament and got MVP.
Yep.
I mean, they all seem to be kind of like that at this point.
And, I mean, for a team as well-travelled as Fnatic is as well, you have to wonder about fatigue and about burning out. I mean, I think one of the things that makes his team so good is that it just hasn't happened yet over, you know, this year or more that they've been so dominant.
It's so easy to fall into that, and a lot of other teams have talked about it, you know, being jet-lagged constantly, just like all this travel they do. And Fnatic's one of those teams that instead of preparing for a huge event, at times they're just like, all right, we're going to take like 2 weeks off. We're going to have this kind of mental vacation. We'll come back and just kind of get back into the swing of things for the week before a tournament, and then we'll just go in and see what happens. But they're very willing to take those extended breaks, even if it's at an inopportune time.
All right, now they're getting a bit of an extended break, as are we. Half-time, of course. And if you just joined us, guys, this is actually our last game of the night, so you have missed some excellent Counter-Strike action. However, never fear, we are going to be back next week as we get close towards the major. We'll be taking a bit of a break for that period, but after that, we'll be right back in the action with more Pro League. So it's only week 4, of course, and despite that, we are sort of seeing that ladder shape up quite interestingly, as we have some definitely high flyers. We have some teams right down the bottom as well, Virtus Pro being that team in question as well. Recovery for them for this season seems very, very unlikely. Going to be struggling to bring things back under control. But mousesports as well, they similarly languishing down towards the bottom side of this ladder. There with Flipside and Virtus Pro. All just sharing in their misery right now. But again, they've only played 6 games so far, mousesports. But they've already hit that 5-loss threshold, which is going to make it very, very hard for them to be in contention for the finals. Obviously, only 4 teams from Europe are going to be representing at the Pro League finals. So that's a very, very competitive bracket to try and fight your way into.
Yeah, and I mean, it's extremely competitive. Even in the North American side of things where, you know, the teams aren't as good, aren't as skilled, aren't as better as teams, but even that division of Pro League is still always highly contested.
Yep.
Just in terms of the teams that are there, especially with, you know, another season where we go through some pretty decent, some pretty hefty roster turnovers right before the season starts.
Yep.
So all these teams trying to get back into the swing of things, figure it out, improve. But yeah, it is always highly contested in both regions coming out to it. Obviously, the biggest surprise is that this will be the first time in a while that we haven't seen Virtus Pro contesting for a spot.
Well, it follows, I guess, from their recent form that they do need to be making some changes, if not in personnel, maybe in mindset. But yeah, next week's going to be good. We've got some big games. Fnatic, NIP, Na'Vi, Envy are in amongst those, so do tune in for that one. But for now, all eyes glued to Fnatic now into the second half. On that T side, mousesports only with 4 rounds being made here, but a good start on the pistol will get them within striking distance of the Swedes. We'll see exactly how they plan to do that, as they are mostly stacking out on B here. 1 player towards mid. They want to push onto this one. JW's already punished Nico towards the mid side, and now, oh dear, it might be getting a little bit dicey for Spiddy. He has to back away after losing half of his health, but Chris Shea is there to take his place. Very
skewed towards the bump side at the moment is this mousesports defense, and Fnatic, they haven't they're starting to read it right now. Dennis is exited towards the A bomb site. Olaf's already in, so yeah, this round is going to be so tough for mousesports to get back in. Even JW just being a pest, holding off rotations. Dennis is in a great spot. He hears the footsteps, takes the peek, doesn't win the initial fight, and actually he's plenty of backup from far back. And Chris J now, he's got to clear out Flusha. I don't even know if he knows he's here quite yet. Does spot him now. They're crunching 3 members to take care of Flusha. All the meanwhile, this bomb timer is still dropping. Flusha gets 1 kill, can't get a second.
Thought it might have been possible there for a moment. So mid goes over towards mousesports. JW actually sat towards truck. He wasn't able to do much damage towards next, but Olaf did. He got the damage done now. And Dennis is still able to reply back, though. Remember that bomb still ticking away, and mousesports no closer to getting the defuse. Olafmeister will silence Dennis. And Chris J just, well, I have to see that bomb go up in flames and know he can't do a thing about it. Nice little shot towards Olafmeister, but again, it's the round that's more important, and Fnatic will get the pistol here, and mousesports will sink further and further behind.
Yeah, that whole defense over towards the B bomb site, so much ground to cover. And then there was just JW being a pest in vents, Flusha then in mid, and just delaying, and mousesports just did not have enough time to clear everything out. So tactically outplayed there by Fnatic. Now mousesports, they have a huge deficit to overcome, and they have to buy into this. 2 Deagles on the board, a couple 5-7s, a P250, but not a lot of chance here for him to really make a run back on Fnatic. This would be such an insane comeback.
Fnatic coming into 3 AKs here as well, and Olafmeister is the utility caddy. As he's pressing on towards A here as well. So that might even indicate a little bit about Fnatic's plan for this round after they clear through mid, as it was smoked up, so they don't have any passage there. It's Crims on your screen. Shout out to Rushley, by the way, by keeping up with me jumping across the map. Doing nicely. You can follow on Twitter, as you've seen on the sidebar. We love our Rushley, but here's Olafmeister now. He's waiting for the rest of his team to join him, so obviously he's going to be able to let rip in a second. He does have a smoke still. And speaking of the devil, he's going to let that one rip. So Fnatic going to push forward. It's going to be Nico and Dennis there. Next, Chris, Spitty, all rotating already. And Nico opens up lovely little deagle shot towards Flusha here. That is definitely going to wind Fnatic as they thought about pressing forward. And now maybe second thoughts as the entirety of mousesports have rotated in, but they're going to go for it anyway. Olafmeister comes forward and a deagle attempt there for Nico going by the wayside. And JW is able to use that to pick off Dennis. And there's Dennis as well. The other Dennis takes down Nico. Next comes forward, he's at the forklift. He got 1 kill for his trouble, but obviously Fnatic are trading more effectively into this bomb side as T's still with 3 up, and Spitty going to struggle with just a flash and a 5-7 and a dream.
Yeah, completely locked out now. It's not a very promising dream either. Might be able to find 1 kill, but at this stage in the game, economic damage isn't enough. It's not going to do a big thing, and Crims just ends it right there. So Fnatic, huge lead. The investment into that round. Chris J's the only one who doesn't buy. He's got 4K, so he'll be able to have an AWP into the next round, but this is a good opportunity for Fnatic to get up towards 14, and then mousesports, they just have to go on this huge run. It's almost like they have to get towards at least 10 before they can allow Fnatic to get another round. They have to put more on the board before they allow one to slip away. So such a tough spot to be in right now. And this isn't just, the story of the early portion of this match was all Olafmeister just being a beast, but everyone else has started coming alive behind it. Crims with 15, JW with 13. Look at this heavy pressure onto the B bomb site. Speedy handles that pretty well, along with Chris J early on. Nades start ringing in. Now Fnatic says we're in a little bit of trouble. Now we can use the utility. But for the moment, they're still locked out of this bomb site, and Nico's on a big flank.
That 3-2 rotate, of course, he is. Remember, this is a very, very scantily bought up round for mousesports. They really haven't spent much into this, so if they can get another kill, another gun away, they'll be loving life. Maybe not loving life, but,
Yeah, there's no loving life against Fnatic. It's more like hatred and depression.
Yeah. Like Nico has a dream, but it's one of the ones that, oh dear, you get woken up from by a knife in your back. It's not the dream you don't mind waking up from. It's not a nightmare, but it's like I dreamt I cleaned my bathroom. Or I dreamt that I sat in the office all day. So, not necessarily hating life, but still, it's rudely awoken there by a knife to the back.
That's so cruel. Olaf.
So Olaf. So Olaf right
That's
now.
so Fnatic. They're just at the point now where they're just like, they just want to destroy all hope. We call them the Sith Lords of Counter-Strike right now, and they live the part.
Well, and they have sensed a disturbance in the force, because that's exactly what mousesports have done. They better buy properly. Maybe a little bit of lack of utility for next here, but definitely around them they need to buy for, of course. So Spitty and Dennis coming forward on B, and it does look briefly at the vent, just in case. It was Olafmeister actually choosing to go around that one and go straight towards highway. This is quite early timing for him to already be punched straight through mid. His mouse had 3 on B. Didn't have a player to be able to watch it all. So Olaf should be able to get the jump on Nico here. I don't know if he's going to be ready for this, but he might be sandwiched. Got to be quick about it. He at least gets a 1 kill, but next, we'll trade.
Nico's going to be so angry right now how that just happened. Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Who the F is watching mid?
Yeah,
would you
well,
say?
and look at this. This is just like Pisteron. Look at this lean towards the B bomb side for mousesports. Fnatic haven't quite got to the position where they can sniff it out or really exploit it quite yet, but that pick's going to help out. Still no one over at A. JW's not pushing up quite yet, but oh, Chris J, nice shot while burning alive. Still a lot of utility, though. They can block off this truck. That smoke's actually going to help Fnatic. Another one rains out. Chris J finds another kill. Dennis has got to swing wide around this smoke. Flusha, he sees the legs. He gets the kill. JW does, but it's down to a 2-on-2, and JW just putting the hurt on.
That's right. And, you know, we haven't really seen anyone from Fnatic have to move mountains in this game. Everyone putting in an excellent effort, and it doesn't help, of course, that Spitty on your screen, I think, as of last round, had 3 kills to his name. So he's had a very, very tough time even finding a foothold here. But he's going to have a go anyway. Flash comes forward. It actually does get on towards JW, and even Flusher to a lesser extent, who is sat back, of course, back towards the corner. But JW is just going to deliver his particular brand of justice and not even give Spitty a chance. 3 kills for JW, and Fnatic 1 round away from winning this first map here. And it looks like it'll be a comfortable affair at that.
Yeah, 1 round away against a very weak buy. Everyone from mousesports sitting around 3,000 before buying up. So most they have is really a scout on Chris J.
The classic.
Yeah, they've got and 4 Deagles beside that. So I mean, they can kind of be used as pocket scouts where the tag does enough damage that a second one from a Deagle, second one from the scout can finish it off. But they're going to have to hope for some kind of a miracle. Chris J going to go for this pick. He's been spotted out. Now he has to fall away, but he gets caught out in the open. The nade doesn't do any damage, but they're already blocking him in behind that box. Olaf and Dennis just open things up.
I don't know. That's pretty rough there. Fnatic already make their way in towards the B side. It's a beautiful flash from Olaf Meister. Poetry in motion, albeit rather grotesque poetry. It's going to leave just the 1 player left. It's Nex. He does have a couple of names to work with here, and of course, trying to channel Nico in terms of Deagle supremacy. He's going to get towards Crims, but will be shut down as Dennis doesn't help his team out. Still, convincing victory for Fnatic there, Moses. I would ask you to put it in 25 words or less what your thoughts are, but I don't think you need to use all of them.
Yeah, no, that was just a slaughter. That was Fnatic being like, all right, boys, here we are. Your Katowice champions.
Yep.
Just going to come into the server and body everyone.
You're going to have to get up pretty early in the morning if you're going to take out Fnatic, especially coming back from a very, very strong victory, and it is indicative of their current form. mousesports, speaking of form, they now go to 1-6. They have a chance to pick up a map here, but could be 1-7. In fact, it's very, very likely.
Yeah, with that form we saw Fnatic in, especially once JW picked up that op and really got going with it, because they were quiet with the AWPs when Olaf and Dennis were using them, even the first one that JW had one, but then got into the swing of things, it all came back, muscle memory, riding a bike, whatever you want to use, and then he just started dominating.
Yeah, and we could see that he was pushing straight forward and be getting aggressive. It's what we like to see from JW and the rest of Fnatic. So let's pass it over to our analyst desk and to see what they have to say about this match.
Yeah, not a lot really. Let's face it, because that was very one-sided. There was a few glimmers, and then Fnatic went, guys, you can't like because it got to like 3-3 or 4-3 or 4-4 or something like that. Yeah, and it was just like, okay, guys, you've had your chance. That's it. We're
done
step
with you
up
now.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the whole story. JW was ridiculously aggressive as well, and that CT side he pushed out towards, Sunroom, just bounding through. He knew Chris J was there, still went out and tried to no-scope it anyway, just because I'm JW and I try these things. And really, it was just Fnatic having their way with mousesports. Sad to say, it was done and dusted.
And I think what Moses mentioned early on during the game, the fact that Fnatic, like if you can't take a site pretty much instantly versus Fnatic, you're going to have insane issues because they're so good at rotating. They always have that next man up right around the corner whenever someone falls. And they're also so good at just playing smart. You could see that Dennis, how he played it behind from quad boxes when it was in a rough situation, misses the first, or he tags one up, I think it's Chris J, misses the next shot. But instead of re-peeking constantly, he just waits because he knows he has Olaf Meister coming in to save his bacon whenever somebody tries to cross over towards quad box. Just simple plays like that just makes everything so much easier for you.
Yeah, and then when you do think you've got the advantage, Olaf Meister pulls out the 1v2. It's like, yeah, we got the bomb down, guys.
4K as well.
That was at 4-3 as well, and it would have been like, yeah, 2v1, perfect, we've got it set. And Olaf's like, no. No
fun.
This is
no
this
fun
is,
for
this
you.
is
And later on in the game, it comes back to knife you as well.
Just
because.
Great.
And then when they thought they actually won the pistol, they were just too late to defuse as well. So it was just full of
that was a
lots
super
of
weird
sadness,
pistol as well.
I'm afraid, for mousesports fans. And well, next up it's going to be Dust 2. So this is their home. They're going to be a little bit more comfortable here. Now they need to try and get a little bit of revenge.
A little bit of revenge would have to be getting to double figures. Honestly,
Yeah,
Fnatic
it
hasn't
is.
lost on Dust 2 this year.
Well, we'll get into it
So-
in just a few moments, guys. We'll get into that after the break because we are going to go to a break, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys at home want to get involved, don't forget to check out the Score eSports. And, of course, you can check it out at Google Play or iOS for all the score stats and articles. No hot match of the week this week, I've noticed, guys. Where's that one been? Astrala's played Envy. Could have been it. Could have been it. But maybe it's in North America. We probably missed it. But anyway, we'll be back after the break, guys. It is Fnatic Mouse. Next up, Dust 2.